Exhibit 46 relates to me being hired as a media technician. Not as a librarian. I was told by Princess Hayes that I should work with students in the computer lab. Exhibit 47 relates to the job description that Princess Hayes gave me. I was hired as a media technician, is what the other exhibit just revealed. I was not given a job description for that position, but I was verbally told to work in the computer lab with students. EEOC requested job descriptions from East St. Louis School District 189 and also from General Service Employees Local 382. They gave two different job descriptions. Both of those were different from the one that I was given. So here, they decided to put media technician at the very top. Here's a totally different one. They decided to put media technician on there. Exhibit 48. It relates to the media technician position as far as computers. There's software is mentioned. Exhibit 48. But if there's a workshop for whatever different motives that may have been in place. Exhibit 49 relates to my making a sign-in sheet for the computer lab. I had also contacted repairmen for the computer lab at 558 North 27th Street. I made my own sheets that related. And then after so long, the district made a sheet that related to repairs being made or reported necessary repairs that were needed. Exhibit 50 it's a sheet that I voluntarily composed. I invited students and staff to visit the library. Exhibit 51. I was invited to attend a meeting regarding receiving money from here, the Laura Bush Foundation, only 558 North 27th Street, and some other schools were said to be selected to participate in the grant writing and the possibility of receiving the grant. So I did the work on the computer, and I was allowed to have the $5,000 and allowed to select books for the students. Thank you, Laura Bush Foundation. Exhibit 52. Relates to Lewis and Clark Library System. This season was the unofficial changing of my job. I was being made to become a librarian. I was hired as a media technician to work with computers and to work with students in the computer lab. We should go with 53. This exhibit should be clearly marked as 53. That page may show up with the official mark on it. Most recent marking. I didn't know this would be 53. To relate to the book that I was able to select. Consists of a number of pages. Exhibit 54 relates to a poem that I wrote, A Time to Speak. It mentions as I mentioned earlier here in the video, of my feelings being led to work in the community. And as the theme, Life More Abundantly, Exhibit 55 relates to summer school positions that I was invited to fill. Lonzo Greenwood confessed that he voluntarily had the girls or the representatives to call me and offer me a position as a media technician in the summer. Latoya Greenwood's name is here, Teresa Saunders. I was called consecutively 2 years at the end of each school year. Exhibit 56 relates to the next school year. Latoya Greenwood's name is here and Kathy Walker Steele. Here it says that I declined the position. Exhibit 57 it marks the beginning of Donna Cameron being in the position of supervisor of instructional media. Exhibit 58 this is an email from me to Donna Cameron. It relates to unnecessary contact about library supplies. Once again, I was hired as a media technician to work with students in the library. That document consists of 2 pages. Exhibit 59 it's an email from me to Donna Cameron. It relates to my position in the computer lab being overtaken by an assistant teacher. And Donna Cameron advises me to work alongside of that assistant teacher who no longer works in the classroom or who was not allowed to work in the classroom after this particular period or during this particular period. Exhibit 60 I wrote to the precinct some informational handout. As with the email, as with the exhibit from Saturday Night Live, Exhibit 8, this document mentions that one pastor said that there was a curse on the city. This document informed residents of chaos that even took place at church in pulled into the workplace. It mentions that I was told no about running for a particular office. I was told no by an official. Exhibit 61. I wrote to Rowena Lewis, who was the principal at 558 North 27th Street. I shared of how the assistant teacher interfered with me working with students with library books, checked them in and out. I mentioned that it was a good spiritual experience for a volunteer around the school to bring the students back for proper service. I mentioned that it was impossible to differentiate between the assistant teacher's own behavior and, as Kathy Walker Steele said to Ms. Lewis regarding Ms. Lewis bringing Friendship Missionary Baptist Church mess to my work environment. And when Rowena Lewis was asked that question by Kathy Walker Steele, Rowena Lewis did not deny it. That's written about in my documents to General Service Employees Local 382 and other documents. Exhibit 62 relates to my being assigned to work some with Lewis and Clark Library Systems. During workshops up there, I learned a number of things. Once again, I was hired as a media technician to work in the computer lab with students. One day, after I exited the building at Lewis and Clark Library Systems, Donna Cameron watched me walk to the parking lot. She had blocked my path, and she invited me to lunch. I refused to go. So that was one of the reasons why the retaliation continued or increased. I am a heterosexual, and I picked up on the opposite vibes from her. It's written in the documents that she would stand watching me until I noticed her as I worked. And as I've mentioned, she asked for unnecessary contact through emails and calls and other. Exhibit 63 is it's an email from me to Rowena Lewis. It mentions a loud noise in the computer lab as the assistant teacher took over my job and worked with students. Rowena Lewis wasn't retaliating against me because of Kathy Walker Steele asking her if she was bringing Friendship Mess to my workplace. Exhibit 64 relates to a very kind teacher asking to be able to come to the computer lab with her students. Exhibit 65 is a teacher asking the assistant who had began to take over my position in the computer lab if students to come to the library. Exhibit 66. Is an email from me to Donna Cameron. I had been temporarily assigned to 558 North 27th Street by Teresa Saunders after Kathy Walker Steele visited 558 North 27th Street, and she asked me if students came to the library, and I said that they came here and there sporadically, and that Rowena Lewis had told them that it was optional. I invited Kathy Walker Steele to ask Rowena Lewis for an email that mentioned optional and did a recap of harassment from Rowena Lewis. Kathy Walker Steele became angry because the email revealed information about someone who she had a special concern for. I learned that she had a special concern for. So I was reassigned to 558 North 27th Street to go and be sexually harassed by Mary Davis. Once again, I am a heterosexual. Exhibit 67. This is Donna Cameron. Asking for unneeded contacts that relates to Exhibit 69. Once again, me, Donna Cameron, she's making room for unnecessary contacts regarding library supplies. At 1915 North 55th Street is what the emails relate to. The library there, I should say. Exhibit 69. Once again, unnecessary contact is wanted or requested from Donna Cameron. I wrote to her and I was asking to leave 1915 North 55th Street and return to 558 North 27th Street. Exhibit 70. Donna Cameron wrote a memo to principals, librarians, and media technicians saying that each school would be receiving new books. So this is marking the period where I will be made to do excessive work. Exhibit 71. I wrote Donna Cameron. It mentions that only a portion, which would be my portion, was attached to this email because the person that I was assigned to had not finished their portion, and I did not want to miss this brand new, unprecedented deadline set by Donna Cameron. This is page 1 of the attached report. 72. I wrote from Mrs. Moore's, or Miss Moore's email account to Donna Cameron saying the complete report was attached. These new jobs and demands were in retaliation for me not responding to Donna Cameron as she wanted, and whoever else may have wanted me to contact them regarding issues. Exhibit 73 relates to the completed inventory report. During this inventory period, my hand was hurt, and I shared it with Donna Cameron. She advised me to keep working. More exhibits will be related to that. Exhibit 74. I wrote to Donna Cameron, and as she had done to Princess Hayes, Kathy Walker Steele, and Chester Bluett. I was taking steps to try to prevent more additional driving. This email mentions Donna Cameron speaking of my common sense. She was calling me dumb. This relates to the racial part of my complaint. This email reveals that my pay stubs were not given to me, and I mentioned my true job assignment. Once again, I was hired as a media technician to work in the computer lab with students, not as a librarian. Exhibit 75. Donna Cameron mentioned a 6/5/09 4 p.m. deadline. We were dismissed from school after 3 o'clock, right after 3 o'clock. She gives a new job assignment. We need to write a report regarding the end of the school year. And once again, she gives a deadline, date, and time, and unnecessarily gives her cell phone number. The matter of me staying in the building late, as in that email, will come up again later. I never stayed past my assigned time for safety reasons. So as a retaliation began, I never stayed in the buildings late. Exhibit 76. I wrote to Donna Cameron. It's a sudden new assignment. Again, the end of the year report. It mentions my temporary assignment to 1915 North 55th Street, and then that I was to float, work at different schools. Again, these assignments were given by Teresa Saunders after Kathy Walker Steele became upset with me for simply writing an email that happened to reveal someone that she had a special concern for. In these days of Exhibit 76, a library worker returned from a leave and that made 3 people assigned to work in the library at 1915 North 55th Street. And even a 4th person would assist if someone happened to come into the library, which was rare. Also, the first worker who was at 1915 North 56th Street and in the library, she always insisted on serving anyone if they happened to come in the library. Mary Davis refused to prepare a library schedule. No students came regularly, and once again, mainly never, are very rare. And that was during my very temporary time there. Front page of the end of the year report. Once again, here's a title that I was not hired for. Library Information Specialist. I was hired as a media technician to assist students in the computer lab. That's page 1. The report consists of 5 pages. Exhibit 77. I asked Lonzo Greenwood if he could have me reassigned back to 558 North 27th Street. And I also informed him of my hand injury. And in this note also, I let him know that I did not want to be affiliated with 558 North. I'm sorry, that I did not want to be affiliated with 1915 North 55th Street. He replied, that's a new school. So I was only very temporarily assigned to that building. He did not accept this note from me. He only read it from my hand. Exhibit 78 was a very sarcastic card or mailing that came from the school district. It welcomed employees back to a new school year. Many employees did not get a note, and some did not get this particular note. And it related to me asking Lonzo Greenwood for a notice to be reassigned back to 558 North 27th Street. Exhibit 79 this relates to Donna Cameron calling her staff super and then indicating that they do not read. Staff members were told to report for a meeting at 1516 Grove Avenue. In the meeting, I was told, and staff was told, that I would be made to assist them in their library with the books that were going to be shipped, which was mentioned in the previous exhibit in this video. After you read this email, please email me back, just letting me know that you received this email and that you read it. Donna Cameron. Is a white female, and that relates to my race claim. The claims here relate to charges of race, religion, retaliation, sexual harassment, and my work-related injuries to my hand and foot. And once again, respect for race, religion, sexual preferences, work injuries, respect and education. It's not that hard to get. And I hope that this world will begin to do as they should in these areas. Also, retaliation. There is a time for war, but it's not with me. Exhibit 80. Relates to Donna Cameron writing to me, to Kathy Walker Steele, to Princess Hayes, to Mary Davis, and Miss Morgan. She tells me that she'll keep me abreast of the changes, stressful changes that she was trying to make to my work schedule, or that she did make. I was told to check my email on a daily basis, all for stress and retaliation. I was told to sign in and out at 1915 North 55th Street every day, and then go to the different schools and sign out by coming back to 1915 North 55th Street. She said that this was being directed by Kathy Walker Steele. Sign in and out every day per Ms. Steele's direction. Exhibit 81 relates to some photos. Again, Exhibit 81 relates to some photos. These are the books that Lily Scobie and I work with. I was hired to be a media technician and work for Citizens Computer Lab. This excessive work was in retaliation for my not accepting sexual advances. And offer jobs and who knows what else. Sibling rivalry. So much was intertwined, which relates to that Saturday Night Live exhibit. I was told to report to 2600 Kansas. These pictures relate to a few of the schools that I was assigned to look at. This is 2600 Kansas. There was no furniture for students nor for me to use. When I initially arrived, and custodians began to bring in furniture. Me being assigned to 2600 Kansas and to this room was sarcasm. It's mentioned in the document says the school where I completed my very first 7 years of school. And the very first of those years were in this particular room during my kindergarten year. LaVondia May Mueller, who was a school board member, began to be a teacher at the school in my last year or so here at 2600 Kansas. She was a school board member and one of the ousted ones. While I visited the Board of Education for one of the meetings that I would have to attend, I noticed the details of that artwork and of how Louis Lewis would insist that I decorated the board at 558 North 27th Street, and of how supplies were so limited, and then discovered hidden in the back of a science class on the second floor. Exhibit 82. It relates to me asking Donna Cameron for my sign in and out locations to be 558 North 27th Street or either 1005 State Street, which would be the board building, instead of the most northern facility, which was 1915 North 55th Street. It mentions that she was having me to repeat unnecessary communication to her. Once again, she was always trying to make unnecessary contact between us. In her portion of this document, she emphasized that I will be rotating from school to school. Once again, I was hired as a media technician to work with students in the computer lab. You will be rotating from school to school. This is what this email says. In the lower portion. Exhibit 83. I forwarded Mary Davis an email. It relates to the job that Teresa Saunders told me to complete, and I did. That was Exhibit 83, AC4. I forwarded Mary Davis a 51209 email that mentions again my job is completed or was completed, and I requested supplies if I was going to be made to stay at 1915 North 55th Street. Once again, it was said that I was going to be temporarily assigned there. And I was. Exhibit 85. I forwarded Mary Davis an email about Donna Cameron not knowing an answer, a simple answer. Exhibit 86. Donna Cameron wrote to me saying that she did not know my work schedule and that I should report to 1915 North 55th Street. And she used a very harassing tone about my email that I sent her a copy of regarding my blue jeans. It was an email that I sent to Mary Davis. Very harassing and strong tones. Exhibit 87. I wrote to Donna Cameron. It mentioned me having to do excessive work and work at different locations. Exhibit 88. Donna Cameron wrote to me, and she sent a copy to Chester Bluette, Kathy Walker Steele, Miss Humphreys, Simpson, and also Farrell were those last names. And it mentions that I should keep in mind that my schedule is subject to change. Getting ready for part 3 of this video. Also, this sarcastically thanks me for my cooperation. Also, it mentions depending on how much gets done each day. So I was made to do excessive work. And she was retaliating against me for a number of reasons. I had resisted her advances. She was trying to have me to contact her unnecessarily. I complied but kept it very brief and professional. Getting ready for part 3 of the exhibit.